Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian and welcome to Path to Pleiades. The community goal to get a station inside a nebula continues. We've had some tremendous progress on this particular goal, and a huge amount of metal has been imported into cache pools, the system where the station is hopefully going to be initially constructed. As of my last check, we had accumulated over 15 million tons of metals. This should hopefully go a long way towards getting the station done, and we are now approaching the 7th tier on this particular goal, meaning that the rewards are going to be relatively high. You only need to get into the top 100 or the top 70% in order to get quite a few million payout. The community goal has also been tremendously popular. There's been 6,792 contributors at last count, or when I last looked earlier today, which is brilliant, but it does bring one slight problem with it, and that's the fact that all metals and commodities are drying up at all local stations. It's become almost impossible to actually find a supply of materials to buy without travelling a good distance, and I thought I'd try some mining instead to collect my own metals instead of doing all the travelling. So I'm out here in 38 Linces, or Linces, however that's pronounced, and I managed to find a pristine ring system. Now this one is a metal content ring system. It's not actually a metallic one, but I believe there is a metallic one relatively nearby. So I'd only jumped in here temporarily just to see how it would go. My ship's not particularly well fitted for mining. I've only got a class 1 mining laser on here and a very poor limpet collector. It can only deploy one limpet drone at a time, so it's taken me quite a long time just to get a bit of ore here. But that's all good. I just happened to be in this system and I noticed the pristine rings, and so I purchased the modules that the local station actually had. As this seems to be working out, when I drop this lot off back in cache pools, I will outfit my ship with some better modules. I also dropped into this particular ring system because of course it is a ringed Earth-like, and they are quite rare to find. There's a few of them here in inhabited space, but generally you don't come across them that often. So as I love exploring, as I love seeing new areas and environments within the game, I just had to come here. Even though it wasn't a metallic ring, there is one of those further along. I just had to come here to see what it was like. So at this point I'd mined just about enough. I'd spent a while getting the cargo hold full of ore, not completely full, but enough to be getting on with. And I decided it was time to head back to Neville Horizons to hand the metals in and get a slightly better outfitted ship. So here is the system map for 38 Linces, and the world I'm actually in right now is this one here. It's world 5, and that's the ringed Earth-like. You can see it's a metal-rich ring system. They are pristine, which is the highest quality you can actually get. The type here, being metal-rich, is actually the second to highest tier, but the ones you actually want is this one here, Pristine Reserves Metallic. These are the best ring systems you can get in the game, so you'll get the best type of ore out of these, and you'll also get the best quantity of ore out of them as well. And there is one final departing shot of the ringed Earth-like, a spectacular looking planet that would only look better perhaps if it was actually inside a nebula. Neville Horizons then, probably one of the most popular destinations at the moment within human civilized space. There's a heck of a lot of players coming here. So as I said, I'm going to head back here and swap out my fitting on the Asp. I haven't really done a whole lot of mining before, although I have done a fair bit in my Clipper. Now Clippers do seem to make very good mining ships, at least that's my experience. I've had less experience mining in an Asp, but I think once I get this lot of metal handed in and I swap the Asp out for a better outfitting, this should also be a decently spec'd ship for the task. So as you can see, the community goal is progressing along nicely, as I mentioned earlier. Unfortunately, I've only been able to carry a limited amount of metal myself. It does take a fair amount of time, and getting the time to spend out here can be quite a challenge at times. But I'm doing as much as I can, so hopefully that is good enough. Now you can see there that 6 tiers have already been unlocked. We're well on our way to tier 7, and the reward even in the top 70% is 5 million credits. And that should only increase as the community goal progresses. Seems to me that we may hit the top tier on this one, so brilliant job, well done to everyone who's been working on this. And next up then was outfitting this ship for mining. I swapped out the Class 1 mining lasers that are actually on there. They're pretty useless, they take quite a bit of time, and I fit 2 Class 2 mining lasers. Some people say you don't need 2 mining lasers, and generally I do agree with that, but you can speed up the mining process a little bit by having 2 of the lasers. And I also need some better collector limpets as well as an improved power plant there. So essentially by the time I was done here, I was able to control 3 collector limpet drones, which meant that picking up all that lovely ore is a lot quicker now than what it was with the previous outfitting. I was a bit torn actually whether or not to go for the 3rd limpet, collector limpet. I was going to have a shield cell bank on the ship, but in the end I decided to sell the shield cell bank and go for the 3rd collector limpet just to speed things up a little bit. Hopefully I won't come under too much pressure in terms of being attacked or interdicted, but I have got 4 Class 1 pulse lasers on here, so at the end of the day I can take on some of the smaller ships if it does become a little bit of a problem. So once again in 38 Linsis, this time at the Linsis 4, the 4th planet from the Sun, and this time allowing me to go to the metallic rings. I should be able to get some better quality ore out of this ones, hopefully gold and platinum and things like that, maybe some panite as well. If you're planning on some mining and are having a bit of trouble finding a decent ring system, do come to this one. It is the best ring system you're actually going to find in terms of mining. I actually found a few rocks out here containing gold in chunks of 50% purity and some palladium as well in similar quantities. It's also nice to see a lot of these ring systems back on form again. There's been quite a few of them having problems over the recent patches, and 1.4 rectified a lot of that. They're by no means quite back to what they once were in terms of their graphical quality, but they're pretty close indeed. And hopefully at some point we'll get some new models for the asteroids here. There's also a possibility in the future that we may still be getting pirate bases inside the asteroids themselves, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. So back to mining then. It's definitely a lot faster with 2 Class 2 mining lasers and 3 collector limpets, a lot better than what I had on the previous trip out this way. And it really didn't take too long to get a cargo hold full of metals. Interdictions of course are still something that occur quite regularly out this way. Fortunately enough I didn't get caught by any players. On this occasion it was just an NPC. So I submitted to the interdiction thinking that I would perhaps get involved in a bit of fighting here. I've got 4 pulse lasers on the ASP, and indeed the ship was small enough, it's just an Eagle here, so I thought I'd be able to take it on without much problem at all. At this point I still had my cargo hold full of metals I was just bringing back to Neville Horizons. But I couldn't get all the pulse lasers firing, so I thought that maybe I'd messed up on the fire groups here. Nope, it wasn't that. It took a little bit of time for me to actually realise that the problem wasn't the fire groups, but the fact that I'd disabled 2 of the pulse lasers to try and save some of the energy on my power plant. But that was before I'd upgraded the power plant to an A-rated one, and now it had enough power in it to supply energy to all 4 pulse lasers. And yeah, eventually I did remember that's what the problem was, so yeah, there we go. Now if you remember I did trade out the shield cell bank for an additional collector limpet, so I've got no shield cell banks here and I've only got an A3 shield module on board. But I was hoping that would be more than enough to take on a lone Eagle. So I wasn't actually even concerned enough to sit here managing my energy too much. Once the Eagle's shields are down they're pretty much paper thin. The hulls are very easy to get through. Anyone that's spent much time out this way for the community goal will know that there's quite a lot of players out here that are actually interdicting other players, and well, some of them are just pirating, trying to take their goods, others are just pretty much killing on sight. That was something I mentioned on the last episode of this series, which was still the early days of this particular community goal, but there's now a lot more players out this way, making it a far more common occurrence. So in the end that fight took a little bit longer than I would have liked, but nonetheless it was still a pretty easy one. Out here in the depths of space, even amidst the centre of civilization, it can sometimes be difficult and daunting to see many other players around. But on occasions like this, players from all over the galaxy come together. And although they come here with many different agendas, some of them with just the intent of conflict, they all, one way or the other, contribute towards a sense of atmosphere out here. Many player-run groups have made immense strides towards making this community goal a success, and individual lone wolf commanders are no stranger to carrying their load here. With a bit of hope and some time, it shouldn't be too long now until we finally see a station out there in the nebulas. And from there it may well be possible to expand human colonies further out into the nebulas, far deeper into space. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time. This is the path to the Pleiades. At last we have got an active community goal to build a station out in a nebula. Pleiades is a chosen destination, and the community goal has now started. I'm going to get to the details on that in just a moment, but before we get to that, I thought you'd like to see what the nebula itself actually looks like and to see what we are working for.